Welcome, teenagers and young adults, to our talk show, Brain Popsters, presenting to you on our weekly 2 p.m. Sunday show, all about babies. Hello, I am Bobbity Bobson, or you can call me BB. And I am Bobbity Bobson. You can call me WB too. We will be your talk hosts for today. First of all, you might ask, what will happen to me in the future? Personal life or marriage? Then after the marriage, have my nuptial night, enjoy with my wife. But here is the worst part, having a baby. How do you expect 4BD to have a baby? Do you know how hard it is to have a baby? Okay, Bobbity, stop procrastinating. We have to bear a thought for our audiences. You see, BB, the first few stages of bearing a baby is tough, but the results will ripen and flourish after the baby is born. So people, have you ever thought of how a baby is formed? Any idea? Well, you've just struck the topic of building a baby. Yes, we welcome you again to our presentation on the steps of building a healthy and strong baby. Anyway, did you know that it would just take 2 tiny little cells to form a complete baby with all its organs and their functions working properly? Okay, now, let's just use an example then. Pretend that you are thirsty, and then you walk to the refrigerator. You see a carton of milk in it, but you think that you want to make it even colder. So you add in some ice cubes. But later, you don't want to dilute the milk. So you take a funnel and pour the solution through the funnel into a bowl. There, you have an act of milk intercourse. Oh great, you've got no sense of humor. Anyway, BB is referring to the process of sexual intercourse. Just like the funnel places its small opening into the bowl and releases the milk, it is the same as a penis inserting into the vagina, depositing semen into it. So embarrassing. Let's get back to the topic. Before the process of sexual intercourse, the male tends to get sexually aroused, just like BB. So, the penis will erect and it starts to harden due to rush of blood vessels. Next, during the process of sexual intercourse, the penis ejaculates and discharges semen, a mixture of fluids and sperms, which is then deposited into the opening of the vagina as it inserts into the vagina. In one of the oviducts, a mature ovum awaits to be fertilized by a sperm. Following on, the sperm swims up the uterus and to the oviduct and would then meet the ovule. With so much sperms counting up to millions, only one would get the chance to meet the ovum coming down from one of the oviducts and attach itself on the ovule. Sadly, the rest of the sperms would just die off. With the sperm attached, it loses its tail, and the head enters the ovule. Then, the nucleus in both of the head of the sperm and the ovule fuses with each other, forming a fertilized ovule, or zygote. This process is called fertilization. After a zygote is formed, it moves along the oviduct to the uterus, dividing many times to form a cluster of cells, much like a ball shape. Then, this cluster of cells reaches the uterus after about a week and fixes itself firmly to the wall of the uterus. This process is called implantation. During this process, the cluster of cells divides into 2 main parts, the embryo and the placenta. The umbilical cord is joined to these 2 parts, and the embryo would then grow and develop in the wall of the uterus. This is getting boring. Well people, Are you interested with the placenta? I guess you have never heard about what actually this is. Yeah, the placenta is an organ that connects the developing fetus to the uterine wall. It contains many blood vessels and is protected by a liquid which surrounds it. This liquid is called amniotic fluid. It basically has three main functions: to allow food in terms of simple substances like glucose, air which is oxygen, and water to pass from the mother's body to the embryo through the umbilical cord. And next, to get rid of waste substances generated by the embryo by passing back into the mother's blood for removal. And lastly, to block harmful substances in the mother's blood from approaching the embryo. Therefore, it is semi-permeable and the blood of the mother and embryo cannot mix, or else the embryo might not be able to survive. Absolutely right. Now, let's move on to what happens as the embryo begins to develop further in the different stages of pregnancy, which lasts about 39 weeks or 9 months. After 4 weeks at the first stage, the embryo begins to form eyes, arms, legs, including a little tail, and after 7 weeks, the embryo develops to form visible nose, ears, and fingers. The embryo then begins to look more like a human baby after 11 weeks at stage 3. From this stage till birth, it is officially called a fetus. Another interesting fact is that after 4 months, you can actually start to differentiate the sex of the baby. Alright, arriving to stage 4, which is after 2 weeks after fertilization. The fetus would look more distinct like a human. The nose and lips can also be seen clearly. Even the heartbeat of the fetus can be heard with a stethoscope. And finally, we have arrived at the stage of pregnancy, around 39 weeks. So what happened next? The baby just slipped out of the vagina like a string of fish? Of course not. We have to deliver the baby, and even the process is very tiring and risky. Let's talk about the beginning of labor. Usually, the head of the baby faces down when it is ready for birth. The muscles in the uterus will help to push the baby down. And then the protective layer around the fetus, which is the uterine membrane, breaks and the amniotic fluid flows out. The next step would be the delivery process. Here, the only action the mother would be doing is to use the muscle in her lower abdomen to push the fetus out of her vagina. But don't take it lightly. This action is really exhausting and excruciating. Imagine a huge chunk of stuff coming out of the vagina. That must really hurt. Here comes the last stage, where it is not painful anymore. The umbilical cord, which is still connected to the baby, is cut away by the gynecologist, while the placenta comes out of the vagina, as it is not needed anymore. Don't forget to clear the liquid or mucus in the baby's mouth or nose, so that he can breathe properly. Crying also starts to help breathing. Wow, baby! Don't you agree just how amazing and wonderful a baby is created? Hey, by the way, Bibi, why do you speak in this manner? What? I am a real Chinaman. Okay, that was so not interesting. Anyway, we have come to the end of our talk show, all about babies on building a baby. We hope that you have enjoyed it. By the way, we will not be airing this talk show anymore because the two of us will be enjoying our nuclear night. Ha ha ha, just kidding. But seriously, who wants to do with these guys?